All right, y'all. We back with y'all again with part 3 of the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. Oh yeah. Now we're gonna pick up where we left off at. Um, Cardinal principles for making a Negro. Now, for the fear of our future generations. Let me start over, y'all. Look, this coming from a slave maker. Okay, remember. For the fear of our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horses and men, we lay down the art. For if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse. Y'all understand this? They're in the process of breaking and making the aboriginal, the indigenous, first inhabitants of Earth. They're in the process of making them into a slave. Like I said, we didn't come here as a slave. They made us a slave. Okay? Took them 64 years to make us a slave. So we came here in 1555. 64 years from 1555 is 1619. So that's why they say slavery started in 1619 in America, which it really didn't. But when they made us an actual into their, God made man, the Caucasians made a nigger. Okay? Yeah, basically. So anyway, check this out, y'all. We understand that short-range planning and economic results in periodic economic chaos, so that to avoid turmoil in the economy, you better focus. In the economy, it requires us to have breadth, in-depth, and long-range comprehensive planning, articulating both skill and sharp perception. We lay down the following principles for long-range comprehensive economic planning. We still rolling? Let me make sure we rolling. Yeah, we good. Okay. 1. Both horse and niggers are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Y'all hear that? Okay. 2nd, both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. 3, for orderly futures, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Okay? This is he laying down an economic blueprint of how to make the aboriginal man into a nigger. Okay, or into a slave. 4, both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. So he's comparing the aboriginal people to that of an animal, of a horse. Talking about breeding them and everything. How they going to breed them. Okay, anyway, we're going to get there. 5, both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. 6, psychological and physical instruction and of containment must be created for both. So they're finna psychologically brainwash. Now, we have the above 6 cardinals as truths to be self-evident based upon the following discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and nigger together. Okay? This is how they talk back in the day. Some of them still talk like that today because they still psychos. Okay? You gotta think about it, y'all. I want y'all to understand is that these slave makers, these Caucasian slave makers, all of them were psychopaths. Okay? So, in honesty, all of the European Caucasian people in America, the European Caucasian American, They are descendants of psychopaths. All of them were psychopaths. They was owning humans. I mean, you got to be crazy to even want to enslave a person. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. Okay, let's see, okay. Note, neither principle alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural nigger is dangerous even if captured. Yeah, it is, even if captured. For they will not, for they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in this natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, break them from one form of mental life to another. So, in other words, these two-legged animals, we're talking about the Caucasians at the time, these two-legged beasts are saying that we are like wild animals. Meanwhile, they are the ones displaying wild animal attributes. Okay? So, this is how they use their psychopathic ideologies to mislabel us. But in truth, they're really labeling themselves. They're talking about themselves. But they're pointing the finger at us. Y'all get it? Now, keep the body and take the mind. This is how they did us, our ancestors. In other words, break the will to resist. Now the breaking process is the same for the horse and the nigger, only slightly varying in degrees. But as we said before, you must keep your eye focused on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. A brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. Woo! Therefore, if you break the female, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. Listen to how he worded it. They see us as animals. He's talking as if he's talking about animals. That's why in the Constitution to this day, they still label us 3/5 of a human. They don't even see us as a full human. This is how the Caucasians view us. That shows you that they still are upholding the legacy of their psychopathic ancestors. To this day, they still uphold it. So they're still racist at heart. Otherwise, they'll change that. Now, let's keep it rolling. We can keep it rolling now. Well, I left off there. Okay, pay a little attention to the generation. Okay, therefore, if you break the female, she will break the offspring of its early years in development, and the offspring is old enough to work. She will deliver it to you. For her normal female I need you to focus. Okay. For her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse, and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured nigger males in their natural state. The pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment, completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. So the process of them breaking a horse is the same process they use to break our ancient, I ain't gonna say ancient, but it's the same process they used to break our ancestors during servitude slavery here in America. Okay, so they learned from breaking the horse. Basically, to make it submissive to them, to comply to them, to obey them, to do their bidding, to do exactly what they wanted them to do. Now, see this picture right here? This is a picture of our ancestors picking cotton for these lazy ass Caucasians that sat on their ass all day, didn't do shit. So it's a new thing today where you see a white Caucasian woman, with some behind her. Because back then they didn't have no butt. They had flat asses. All of them had flat asses. All they did was sit on their raggedy ass. Okay, but let's read it. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, now they calling our people uncivilized. Meanwhile, we the ones taught them how to read, how to write, we even our ancestors raised their children. But we uncivilized. Okay, not only that, our ancestors took them out the caves when they was eating shit, eating turds in the caves. Our ancestors took them out the caves when they was having sex with the dogs. Okay, this is what they was doing. They was eating that food raw, but we uncivilized. Okay, they was calling us dirty. Meanwhile, we cleaning their house. So who really dirty? We cleaning their house. Okay, but this is what they're saying. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, use the same process. The process is the process of breaking a horse. Okay, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Now, at this time, it is mindful of y'all to know they wasn't allowing us to read nor write. If you got caught with a pencil in your hand, they would cut that finger off. Yes, they would literally cut your finger off because they didn't want you to learn. You can't enslave a person that's educated. And if you got caught reading, they would torture you, beat you, burn you.
That's messed up.
Oh yeah. I mean, for years, our ancestors wasn't allowed to even read or write.
Dang.
Under Lock and Key Act. And if they caught you reading or writing, it was a possibility you could lose your life, get hung or get shot to death or tortured to death. This is what they was doing. Because they know the minute we learn, see, there's a saying. If you want to hide something from a black person, this is what they say. If you want to hide something from a black person, aka Aboriginal, they say put it in the book. Because they say, oh, black people don't like to read. You know why this saying goes along? Because black people wasn't allowed to read for centuries. Now, a century is 100 years. So for 400 centuries, we weren't allowed to read. For 400 years, we weren't allowed to read. Because every time we had to sneak and learn how to read. And if you got caught sneaking, they did something to you to do some type of harm to you. Excuse me. Not through epigenetics. A lot of black people, through epigenetics, because it's inherited through DNA. A lot of black people don't like reading because of the 400-year of trauma that's in the gene pool. You get it? So that's one of the main reasons a lot of Aboriginals don't like reading. Ooh, look at them puff owls. Okay, anyway, let's keep it flowing. Now listen to this. It says, take the meanest and the most breathless nigger, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female and the nigger infant, tear and feather him, tie each leg to a different horse face in opposite directions, and set him afire, and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggers. So they were splitting their bodies wide open in front of all of the other so-called black people. This was their torture way to inject fear in our ancestors. So basically, these Caucasians are worse than the devil. The devil ain't got nothing on these Caucasians. The thing that these people did to our ancestors is worse than probably anything ever in the universe. Okay, so when people say, "Oh, the aliens are coming, they're coming to get us," aliens can't do nothing worse than what the Caucasians have already done to our ancestors. Can't nobody outdo the Caucasians when it comes to psychopath attributes. They are the masters of being a psychopath. So when you see people like Adolf Hitler, when you see people like Jeffrey Dahmer, he's just a reflection of these nothing ass niggas that had our ancestors in slavery. Ain't nothing new. He's just a reflection of his ancestors. Now let's keep it pushing. Okay? The next step is to take a bull whip and beat the remaining nigger male to the point of death in front of the female and his baby. See, don't kill him. Don't kill him. Put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. Put the fear of God in him. So in other words, the Caucasian is their God. That's why they made Jesus white. So when you see Jesus, you automatically think God is white, and the Caucasians is God light, because God. If Jesus is white, they're gonna automatically make you think, oh, Caucasian must be God people. It's the opposite. Don't I get passionate, girls, sometimes? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's keep it going. Now, the breaking process of the African woman. Listen how they did. This how they did the women back then, y'all. Listen now. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way, because she is the most important factor for good economics. See? And this is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the black woman is the key to success.
What woman among you would think yourself a decent woman with your dress halfway your thigh? If you didn't open your mouth, you're showing the world that you're an indecent woman. You're showing the world that filth is your partner.
And they knew this. They took the black woman. See, listen. Test her in every way, because she is the most important factor for good economics. Good economics mean they was making money off us for free labor. They were betting on the woman to basically ensure that the child would be a humble, willing slave. That she will raise the child a certain way to be a good slave and servant to their raggedy ass, two-legged beast, psychopathic masters. Okay? Now, if she shows any signs of resistance in submitting, completing to your will, do not hesitate to use the bull whip on her to extract, to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Okay, this is what it say. So, when they tell you in the Bible that Jesus was beat with a whip, hung on a cross, or hung in a tree, because one part say hung on a tree, one part say hung on the cross. But it was beat with a bull whip. They talking about the aboriginals in North America that was in servitude slavery. Go ahead, lady.
Why were they so mean to us?
Because they're not human. They have rhesus monkey in their DNA. They have monkey, but one of the biggest kept secrets in the white world of medical science is the other blood group, a group that is exclusively European. That group is called the RH factor. The RH stands for rhesus, and rhesus is short for rhesus monkey. The RH factor is a plasmic agglutinogen antibody first found in the bloodstream of rhesus monkeys, whose origin may be in North Africa and Asia, but whose species foundational root is equatorial Central Africa. According to white geneticists and biochemists, that agglutinogen antibody was found to be of hybridic structure, which supposedly classifies the rhesus monkey as a macaque mulata, meaning a rhesus monkey, which means mixed origin or mixed breed or produced by genders of a different species. Now, first and foremost, mixed breeding among any animal species never happens and is scientifically unnatural. As to say, you never see a wolf breed with a hyena or a lion breed with a cheetah. Well, then, the question must be, why did white geneticists and biochemists attach this illogical label on the genetic origin of the rhesus monkey? The answer is because 90% of the European Caucasoid race, as indicated in any theologically medical book you pick up, is in fact Rh factor positive, possessing the identical agglutinogen antibody, anti-Rh serum, as the rhesus monkey. And they got dog DNA. You gotta Google this, y'all. They have dog DNA in them, and they have monkey DNA in them. So they have animal characteristics. And that's why, like, when they get wet and stuff like that, their hair get wet, or they get wet, they smell like dog. Smell like wet dog. And that's why they have shed. Ew. Because they have fur. We have hair. We have flocculus. That's why our hair never shed. Our hair don't fall out our head. Huh? That's gross. It might be gross, but they can't help that. That's how they was made. But they have fur. That's why they get lice. Animals get lice. The aboriginals, we don't get lice in our hair. Us indigenous people don't get lice in our hair.
Look at the biological difference between us and any other species on this planet. It is a landslide of who we is. We're biologically different. We have more what you would call bone mineral density than any other race. And I hate the word race because that was made up. But other race on here, our teeth are smaller. Theirs are bigger and theirs are more sharp. The hydrochloric acid in our stomach is lesser than theirs. Theirs are more hot, showing you that they can eat and break down more proteins than us. Our hair is non-ether hair. It crinkles and it's kinky and it grows towards the sun. Theirs grow towards the ground. Our melanocytes actually have selenium minerals in it. Theirs have sulfate or sulfur in it. They body have more packed ammonia than we do. And when you see ammonia in a laboratory, if you heat it up, it will freeze cold. But if you freeze it cold, it will go to a boiling temperature. And that's the reason why you can see a lot of Europeans in the middle of the cold running in a tank top and shorts. Or if you see them you see them in the summer, they can be fully clothed. That's because how they chemistry react. And then they have these nuclear reactors inside of their cells with the ammonia and the sulfur, where it mixes together in the heat with water, and it gives this canine smell. And that's the reason why they say they smell like a wet dog. Yeah. This is not derogatory or talking down on them. This is just scientific chemistry that's going on with inside of their biology. Look.
Okay. It's because we are different. We the only humans on the planet.
Out of Africa came the modern humans, and the word the geneticist uses admixed. They admixed with the Neanderthals. And they all used to live in caves in those days like this. Came out of Africa, admixed with the Neanderthals. This was Neanderthal territory. There was another group of Neanderthal-like creatures called the Denisovans. They lived up here in Siberia, and they have their genome has been sequenced. They were distinct from the Neanderthals. And so you can find in people of European and Asian ancestry evidence of about 7%, 5 to 10% of your genome is common with that of Neanderthals. We've been separated from them for 30,000 years or so. And in some of the tribes in Papua New Guinea and those islands out there, there's evidence for a different kind of genome, which is probably the Denisovan genome. And they might have 7% Neanderthal and 5% Denisovan. So they might be 12 or 15% different from us. And in fact, the Africans who came out from Africa have no evidence of any Neanderthal genes in them. No evidence of admixture. So they're the real pure humans. Homo sapiens. Really, really interesting, and it gives you a lot to think about.
Lice, they're little bitty nasty bugs that be all in your hair.
Do they hurt? Like, do you have to go to the doctor?
Nah, they just need to wash that shit. Oh. Put some soap and water. So it does Stop
nothing,
being nasty.
It just does nothing to your hair, but it just grows.
It's baby. Lice comes inside wherever animal fur is that ain't being groomed the right way. Lice comes in that area. Oh. Okay. That's like a habitat for those type of little small insects. Oh. They're little nasty ass bugs. It's just a sign that you need to clean it. You need to clean it up. Okay. Now, let's keep it rolling. It says, let's run that back, y'all. If she shows any signs of resistance of submitting completely to your will. Do not hesitate to use the bull whip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. This is what it say now. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. Remember, we will consider their merchandise. Excuse me. That's why Willie Lynch, with his ragged ass, man, he writing shit. That's why I say, don't kill her because you will spoil your economics. In other words, you spoil your merchandise. Because we were their property.
She hanging on the tree.
Yeah, she hanging on the tree because they whooping her. That's why they showing the image of her hanging on the tree. They trying to beat her into submission.
But Daddy,
Won't the tree break how heavy she is?
No, it's just an image just to show you, yeah, but
how did they get the people on the tree? I know nobody wanted to be hanging on the tree. How did they get them to hang on the tree?
they'll throw a rope up there, swing it around, connect it. They'll make a noose, and then they'll pull up on one end. And pull
like,
you.
how did they get the people to, like, stay up there and be still? Because I know nobody wants to get hung on the tree.
Baby, when there's a lot of people around you, and you being out manhandled, that's how they was able to do it. They come in groups, bunch of races. Let's see, where we left off at? Okay. Hold on, let me get it right here. Okay, it says when in complete submission, she would train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Ooh, y'all listen. Let me tell y'all something. When Elijah Muhammad said that, this is what Elijah Muhammad taught. When Elijah Muhammad said the white man is the devil. No. That's not true. That's worse than the devil. Whatever worse than the devil is, that's what you can say that is. We talking about a history that's written in absolute atrocity. A history that is written in stone cold bloodshed. There is nothing at all to glorify about the Caucasians' history. Absolutely nothing. America is built on the foundation of sin, of bloodshed. 400 years of brutal mistreatment of the indigenous aboriginal people of the planet. So anyway, we're going to keep this pushing. Now, yeah, go ahead. What, you got a question? Oh. Now, if y'all got a question, y'all can ask now. Okay. Now, look. Understanding, let's see where we at. Understanding the best thing. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking of the female nigger. See how they talk about calling them niggers and blah, 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 this and that? We have reversed the relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male. Boy, see this shit I be talking about. This is what I be trying to tell everybody when I'm teaching this type of stuff, right? Is that it's their nature to be racist. They're racist by nature. It's a part of their culture. They didn't practice this. This is their culture. This is their way of life. They did this for centuries. Now listen to this. And she would be a limited, protected. Listen, I got to reread that because this here critical. This is something that must be understood. In her natural, uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male. So that they're considering that uncivilized for her to depend on her boyfriend, her husband. That's not uncivilized, that's civilized. This is retarded. We're talking about, this is coming from the mind of a psychopath though. Remember, this book is written by a psychopath. Willie Lynch. This is the mind of a psychopath. Okay, and all the slave owners were psychopaths. Okay, every last one of them was psychopaths. It's just a fact. Okay, and now I say, And she would have a limited protective dependency towards her independent male offspring and would raise female offsprings to be dependent like her. Ain't this some shit? Now, check this out. And nature had provided for this type of balance. We reverse nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigger apart and bull-whipping the other to the point of death. All in her presence. Y'all hear this?
Mm.
So they would take her husband, beat him to death in her presence. And then they would also pull him apart. So they'll take one horse on one end, tie their legs up, tie their arms up on the other end. They'll hit the horse and the horse would pull their body apart. Because the horses would take off on both ends and they would like run opposite directions. You get it? Okay, this is how they was doing. Now, then it says, okay, we reverse nature by burning. They burnt us to death. They had burnt us, burnt us to death. And pulling one civilized nigger apart and bull whipping the other to the point of death. All in her presence. So that is messing this woman up. She's seeing her own husband being tortured like that.
Is a bull
Like a whip, like they was beating so-called Jesus with. They were hitting him in the back with it.
So it's basically like a belt.
Something like that. But
thinner.
It's like a cord. Imagine somebody hitting somebody with like a extension cord or something. Similar to that. So that's how they got the name cracker. Because they was cracking the whip. So a lot of so-called black people say, the cracker coming, there go that cracker. So that's where that word come from, because it was cracking the whip. It'd make a cracking noise. So a lot of times, a lot of Caucasians to this day, they are subconsciously racist. They'll say stuff like, you working hard? And then they'll say, yeah, you got to make sure you put that whip on them now. They love doing this. Because they racist by nature. It's part of their nature. They can't even help it. They just psychologically, they are literally, how can I put this? Try to put this in the nicest way I can. They are natural psychopaths. They're like natural psychopaths. Because racism is a psychotic ass sickness. It's a mental sickness. Okay? But that's how they rule. That's how they run. That's how they rule and power. Their power structure is based and structured in racism. Now, let's keep it rolling. Okay, here we go. And do I like it? Hell no. I can't stand it. I hate their history. All the way they was doing all my ancestors. I ain't got no love for no shit like that. Okay. Try not to cuss, but sometimes it come out. Now, where was I? Nature provided this type of balance. We reverse nature by burning, pulling, where to say it all that. By her being left alone, unprotected. See, this talking about the woman. The woman is being left alone and unprotected with the male image destroyed. The ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. She ain't got nobody to protect her. Because they done killed the man, tortured him, broke him like a horse, like an animal, like a mule. Okay? Now listen to this. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak, independent, but physically strong. So the boy gonna be mentally weak, but he gonna be physically strong just for labor work. Basically, he a dummy. She raising him to be a dummy, raising him to be a slave, raising him to be a servant, to serve Caucasian people. Now listen to this. Because she has become psychologically independent, she would train her female offspring to be psychological independent as well. What have you got? You've got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. And scared. The man's supposed to be in the front protecting his family, but they didn't beat him so bad, he's scared. They done tortured him so bad, he's scared.
I thought he got ripped apart.
Yeah, but the ones that they did, see, they remember they did this in front of the rest of them to make them scared. See what I'm saying? So they made an example of one, many, and made the other ones, and put fear in them. As they say, the fear of God, but really it's the fear of something worse than the devil, which is the Caucasian people. Because the devil really don't exist. That's some shit they made up during slavery. Ain't no such thing as no devil. It's just you got people that are very low vibrational, people that are nothing, okay? People that are human parasites and cancers on the earth. Some people don't have a heart whatsoever. Some people don't have a soul whatsoever because they got calcified pineal glands. So even if they had a soul, it still wouldn't have one. They don't have neuromelanin. They got sulfur-melanin, and it burns when they go out in the sun. So that's how you know a person ain't got no soul or not, because they ain't got no neuromelanin. Okay, anyway, listen to this. You've got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep in economics. Before the breaking process, we had to be alert and on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly. See, before they broke these aboriginals like that, they couldn't sleep at night. They were scared we was going to rebel. Our ancestors were going to try to kill them and they sleep. They couldn't sleep at night. But after they broke them like that and made them subservient slaves, they made them mentally a slave. And they just took the body and used it for servitude labor. They felt like they could sleep good then because they had them eating out the palm of their hand, right? This is what they was doing. They say, now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her. He cannot get past. He cannot get past her early infant slave. He cannot get past her early infant slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. And this damn out there in the field picking cotton again. And you wonder why black people don't like their hair, because they was picking cotton all damn day.
They don't like their hair.
A lot of so-called black people don't like their hair, baby, because it reminds them of cotton. Because for centuries, our ancestors picked cotton. And when you pick cotton, they got these thistles on it, these little thorns, and it'll prick your hand and have your hand bleed, and it'll cut your hand. So subconsciously, a lot of black people, so-called black people, they don't like their hair because their hair reminds them of cotton. You see, because they picked that cotton for centuries. Remember, 1 century is 100 years. So 4 centuries, that's 400 years. Okay? So you got a picture right there of them out there in the cotton field.
Getting tortured.
Getting tortured, that's right. No, not getting no pay, not even 1 cent, working for free for these lazy-ass Caucasian folks. Okay? Now, it goes on to read, by the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work in the reproduction of a unit of good labor force, continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggers by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency, by killing the protected male image, and by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and the female savages. That's Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad came to change all that. Straight up. And then it say, we show what we mean by example. Take the case of 2 economic slave units and examine them closely. Now, you see right here where it say, listen at this, because they doing this to this day. To this day. Like my boy Deontay Wilder say. Anyway, by killing the protective male image and by creating a subservient, submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we can create and listen to this. Continually through the breaking of uncivilized, savage niggers by throwing the female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency by killing the protective male image. They do this now because what they do is they're destroying the image of the so-called black man by feminizing him. All on TV and stuff like that. So you got like this Section 8 housing. Well, a so-called black woman can only get a Section 8 house if the male is not there. That's the same thing they was doing. Same thing. They doing it today. It's modern slavery. See, she can't get this government assistance if she got a man. But if she got a man, if she got a man, she can't get the government assistance. But if she ain't got a man, the government is the new slave owner. The government is the new slave owner. So this modern day slavery, it ain't went nowhere. It just changed form. Anyway, we'll continue with part 4. Because my girl right here, she done nodded off. But her subconscious caught all that knowledge. The subconscious catches everything. So, until the next time, may the force be with y'all. Peace.